Hello and welcome to Navajo County Connection. I am Steve Williams, County Supervisor from District 4. Hosting today with me is Jason Whiting, Supervisor from District 3. Our guest today is our very own Sheriff Clark from Navajo County, who recently received the National Sheriff of the Year Award through the WeTip organization. Sheriff, we wanted to congratulate you on that.
Well, thank you.
Thank you.
You know that the award is really, I give that award to the deputies and to the citizens. It's got my name on it, but I'm one person. They go out and do the work every day, so it's really, and to the citizens. So anyway, thank you for thinking of that. But
thank you, Sheriff, and we appreciate what you do and actually the whole Sheriff's organization. Yeah. You're right. This month, the month of May, is actually the National Peace Officer Memorial Day is celebrated in the month of May, as well as Police Week nationwide. Is that correct?
It is.
And we're going to ask you just a little bit to talk about that. But before we do, for the citizens of Navajo County, Sheriff, would you just talk a little bit about your experience in law enforcement? 28 years as a peace officer, as I understand it.
Yeah, it's going on 28. You know, I started as a volunteer. I went to the Reserve Academy in 1987 there in Snowflake. Then as a reserve deputy, I was fully certified. But I went there, and for about a year and a half I volunteered, working another job, and then the deputy needed time off, or if I had extra time, I'd just go do it. And then in 1989, I went full time. And unfortunately, the person that I took their position was Bob Varner, one of our deputies that was killed. And so in April of 1989, I took that position in Winslow. And so Bob Varner is, of course, on the wall, and we remember him during this time and every day, because every day I look at his picture in the hallway where my office is at. So then I worked patrol in Winslow. Had a little travel trailer I pulled over there because I was living in Heber, and come home on my days off, and then ended up transferring back to Heber when the position came, and then worked there for several years, and then a position came open in the task force, probably maybe 5 years into my career. And so the position was in Holbrook, so moved over there and worked in the MCAT task force, I don't know, probably 12, 13 years. And, you know, it was a great experience. I felt like I really made a difference in our community because we dealt with the worst of the worst. You know, drugs are a plague on any community. And worked all over the United States because I worked with the DEA on that, and so it was an interesting job, and I enjoyed it. My wife wasn't quite as thrilled about it as I was because she was home raising the kids, and I was going off to New York or LA or whatever. But and then late at night, a lot of call-outs, but it was very rewarding. And then in 2008, I ran for sheriff, and careful what you ask for. So 2009 I took office, and been going since.
That's great. Thank you, Sheriff.
We talked earlier about it being National Peace Officers Memorial Day, and wanted to see if you'd mind talking about that. What does that mean?
You know, it's honoring all the police officers that have served before us, and the ones that have been injured, lost their lives in the line of duty. It's also for their families. So it's honoring and the ones that work every day now that miss their kid's birthday, their wife's birthday, holidays, work at night, that get spit on, get rocks thrown at, name called, for protecting people. So if you've been back to Washington and you haven't gone to the Peace Officer Memorial, it's at least for me, because I have several friends on there, it's pretty moving to think of the amount of people. I think the amount of people on that wall since they started it is just an incredible. This year alone, 273 law enforcement who have died in the line of duty are going to be added to that wall. It's way too many. That's nationwide. There's not many other jobs in this country where just because you go to work in the same profession, 273. That's not all right. So anyway, it's a moving experience to be there.
Well, I'll tell you, I know in our last board meeting they had a chance to talk about some of the veterans and their service, and I thought that it was very fitting, and I appreciated the comments made by the gentleman as he turned to you and thank you for what you're doing here on the home front, and to all of our police officers for what they do. I have some family members that are involved in law enforcement, and I see their service. They deal with, as you mentioned earlier, the underbelly of society, and a lot of people don't realize the toll that can play on a police officer and what they truly do to serve and protect our rights here on the home front and protect us from danger that's going on out there. And so as I've been fortunate that I've been able to personally see the effects of that on a police officer, and quite frankly, how they handle that within their personal life, within their home, and how with integrity and honor they wear that badge. So thank you sincerely for all that you guys do out there.
Well, you know, there's a lot of there's some negative publicity out there right now about law enforcement. First of all, law enforcement's we're human. Everybody makes mistakes, and but the people that make mistakes are held accountable. Is there mistakes in the justice system? Maybe sometimes where they're not, or people think they should be. I mean, that's up to the courts, and that's a jury of your peers and so forth. But the law enforcement officers are human. People make mistakes, and they should be held accountable. Just like if we're called and somebody's done a crime, then they're held accountable. So we're really no different. But it's a great profession. It's very, very rewarding, and you know, we don't really have that here in Navajo County. I think that by and large, whether it's from Winslow to Pine Top, that the folks or the county, the folks in this county trust their police officers and deputies. I think they do an outstanding job all the way around.
I'm glad to hear that. I mean, it's part of the reason why I want to live back up in this area is because we act and walk and squawk a little differently. So
we do.
Couple of things, Sheriff. We have two from Navajo County that are on the wall back in D.C. One you'd mentioned is Bob Varner. The other is Charles Lane. Is that correct, those two that we honor?
We do. The Charlie Lane was the captain on this end of the county for many, many, many years. I mean, he was as much the sheriff as Glenn Flake was or Gary Butler was on this side of the county. And he, you know, he had retired, but he didn't want to give it up because it was just what he wanted to do. He wanted to serve. So he was working after he'd retired, he was working as a reserve deputy. And he was down on White River, and he tripped and fell and broke his hip, and that caused a blood clot, and he passed away the next day. Great gentleman. He had other family members in law enforcement. His son worked for Holbrook PD, and was the chief there for a while. And I think he's in Cortez, Colorado now, and he's the longest serving chief in the history of the state of Colorado. So good legacy.
That's wonderful. I know that at our next Board of Supervisor meeting, we'll have a proclamation presented proposing that the county declares 1 week in May as the Peace Officer Week, and we're looking forward to that proclamation coming before the board. You'd mentioned something about dealing with the public and officer safety and sometimes making mistakes. I know that the Sheriff's Office in the past has had body cams for some of the deputies, but Sheriff, would you like to talk a little bit about some of the upgrades there and the increased number of body cams and what the purpose of a body cam would be for a deputy?
So yeah, about 2 years into my term as sheriff, before a lot of this took place in Ferguson and all that, we kind of looked at it and realized that the world's changing, and and we wanted to be transparent and accountable to the citizens and to everybody. So we had already had cameras for years in vehicles, and you'd see those on DUI stops and so forth and pursuits. So we didn't have much money at the time, but we bought some cameras that we put on all the deputies, and they were substandard, but we were kind of the first to do it, at least in Navajo County. And then through a partnership with the county and the board and you guys and our county manager and then the county insurance pool, I went to the director there, Bill Hardy, and said, you know, Bill, I'd really like to get some more cameras, good cameras, that protects the deputy, protects the citizen, protects the county. And so a great partnership with the county insurance pool. He gave us some money, plus we got some from the general fund, and we were able to update all the cameras, and it's paid off. We've had several people that have made complaints on deputies here recently, and they were absolutely false. And I've taken a real strong stance on that. If you go and you make an accusation against a deputy, and their body camera's on, which the policy is, it's on, and you've lied, then we're going to file charges through the county attorney's office, and then it's up to them. And I know that in one case, the charges have been filed against a citizen here. On the other side of that, it also keeps the deputy aware of what he or she is doing. A perfect example of that was here maybe 6 months ago. We had a bank robber that had robbed a bank here in Sholo, and Sholo and Pine Top and us were all chasing them, and they got into the county portion over towards Lakeside, and found him, and the deputies in uniform got there, and then we had some undercover people there, and when you turn those things on and activate them, there's kind of a whir sound, a whir sound, whirring. So anyway, one of the deputies who was undercover was getting ready to say some things to this guy, and you know, he pointed his gun, and probably there weren't going to be some nice words, and he came back and told me this story, and he said, then all of a sudden I heard all those cameras, because the undercover guys don't have cameras on, and he's like, sir, please get out of the car. That's perfect. That's exactly what we wanted. And so it works both ways. It changes the behavior of the police officer deputy, and it changes the behavior of the citizens. And then as far as in court, whether it's prosecution or defense, it's there. You know, the old adage, a picture's worth 1,000 words, and video's even worth a whole lot more than 1,000 words, and the audio. But one of the things we also did on that was we, in the booking area of the jail is where a lot of times people are just brought in, they're upset, they're angry, and so a lot of things happen in the booking area. And so with our sergeants and the booking sergeants in the jail, you have cameras everywhere, but we didn't have any audio. And again, audio is says a lot. You can see a lot of these police videos on TV, and there's no audio, so you really don't know what's going on. You see something, but it's really great to be able to hear it too. So we've also put them on in the jail sergeants in the booking area, and that protects, again, the county, the booking people, the defendants, and it's paid off well, I believe.
Right. That audio video protects everyone.
It does.
At the end of the day. That's great.
I got a quick question for you, just something I was thinking about. You'd mentioned earlier with humility that it was everyone else that had helped to win the award, and I suspect there's obviously some truth to you do have an outstanding group behind you, but at the same time, from the top down, they've got good leadership. And I would suspect when you're out with society putting out what you see in the media in today with a lot of those types of things, out of seeing the underbelly of society, all that kind of thing. You're having to inspire your group. What inspires a police officer, a sheriff, to continue forward, to be what they are, and to continue to protect and serve?
I think there's a true sense of service in police officers. There's no doubt we like to drive fast and sirens and all that. I mean, that's part of it. But more than that, there's I think a deep want within the individual to want to help humanity, their neighbors, their family. It's a rewarding job, and it is. It's tough these days. It's really tough when you see the stuff on the news, and especially when you see a police officer's done something wrong. I mean, that whether it was in Baltimore, New York, or L.A., it affects every one of us because we all wear that badge, and people read about it and hear it, and so they start judging. But people, the compassion, I think that's really what police officers and firefighters, I mean, people in public service, there's a real want to help and the fellow citizen. And so, you know, I listened to a speech the other day talking about this kind of stuff. And the sheriff, it was Sheriff McMahon out of San Bernardino County, and he's just had a kind of a national or a crisis over there too. And, you know, he said, well, those people will be held accountable, but they made mistakes. But when was it all right to start running from the police? When was it all right to start throwing bricks at police or rocks or shooting or running in the car and stuff? And so as you listen to that, that inspires me because it's not all right, and want to do right. So.
Sheriff, as we come up on National Peace Officer Memorial Day and Police Week, what would you say to citizens as they observe that day and remember that day and those that have given their life?
You know, I would, and we see it from our citizens here in Navajo County. That's another great reason it's great to be working here compared to some other large cities, is we get cards literally at least once a week, maybe many times more than that. I've been over to Winslow PD, and there's a box of cookies or something in there with a thank you card from students.
That was from Supervisor Whiting.
Was it?
Yeah, there you go. I was eating some of them, in fairness, so I apologize for half eating.
Yeah.
It was a long drive, so.
Well, make sure you drop some off down in Holbrook.
Yeah, there you go.
So, and we've gotten that too. So I just, I was talking to a gentleman here a while back, and he told me, he says, your deputies think I'm crazy because I'll see them pulled over and I pull up and I say, thank you. And they're like, what? But these men and women in law enforcement, again, you know, they chose this, but they chose it for the right reasons. And they're out there protecting you at nighttime, on weekends, Christmas, they're out there. And so if you have a chance, stop and say thank you to them. And that's the great thing. We do have that happen here in Navajo County. But it makes their day and makes them want to serve more. So you know, if you get pulled over and you get a ticket or whatever, they're doing their job. I mean, it's not fun to get pulled over and get a ticket. I've gotten tickets.
Have you? How many have you gotten, Sheriff?
None in a long time.
Sheriff, my father-in-law was for 36 years worked for the Maricopa County Sheriff's Office. Most of that time as a sworn peace officer, but part of it as a civilian. And he and his wife raised 9 children on that salary, which is amazing to me. But he recently wrote a book for his family about some of his experiences, and we've had a great time going through that and reading some experiences that his family never knew, at the time, probably because they wouldn't have slept well at night, knowing the danger that he was in at times. But I just want to express appreciation to you for your leadership, and to all of our peace officers, both at Navajo County and throughout the county and state, that do so much to protect our rights and freedoms. And it'll be a treat for us to pause and pay tribute to those peace officers that have given their life in the day of in their service on the National Peace Officer Memorial Day. So I just want to say thank you, Sheriff, for all that you've done over the past 28 years in your career.
Well, you know, I appreciate the support I get from the Board of Supervisors has been incredible over the years. I mean, here recently, there was a proclamation brought before you for our dispatchers. And boy, you guys were right there with that. Of course, the correction officers here a few weeks ago. And then just the support that we get from the Board of Supervisors has been incredible. My 6+ years as sheriff, I've had nothing but great support. And I not only do I appreciate it, but the deputies do also, and the correction officers and dispatchers and all of us. So thank you guys.
Great.
We appreciate you keeping us safe. I just want to echo what he had to say, you know, Supervisor Williams, and that we certainly do appreciate. As I've had family get into law enforcement, I've become more appreciative and certainly a little more careful when I get pulled over in my responses. Not that I'm pulled over a lot, but I've been pulled over a few times. And so I recognize they're doing their job. And quite frankly, I wasn't doing what I was supposed to be doing if I got pulled over. So I guess there's a time to be accountable to what we're doing. And I appreciate all that you guys do out there and all the people that work with you. So thank you.
Well, you know, and hopefully that none of us around this table or anybody really needs the police, because usually when you do, it's not good. But even when you're pulled over, it's not good. I get it. You know, I do want to apologize to Supervisor Williams, as I threatened to put him in jail last week at the board meeting, and you know, he was getting ready to vote for something I wanted. So we'll keep that. I'll keep that mum at this board meeting.
A lot of our viewers weren't there, but I joked that as an attorney in my other life, I've visited a lot of people in jail. In fact, I said I've gone to jail more than anyone I know, and I've never had to stay the night. So that's good. But we appreciate you joining us on Navajo County Connection. Thanks to all of our peace officers for the work that they do. We hope you'll join us next time. Have a great day.